Yeah, start.
Well, folks, this is the best show on Blog Talk and the best show on the internet. Shut up! Nobody, and I mean nobody, tackles issues like inflammatory talk. Shut up! And Mr. Midnight Movie. Shut up! And Jewish producer.
Hello, son.
Shut up! We tackle the things that nobody tackles.
Hello, son.
Demand answers.
Hello, son.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Goofy Bone can get off his bloviated fat enchilada ass and start talking about La Raza.
Hello, son.
Jocking it. Pimp Daddy Joe Pete. Jocking it. Pimp Daddy Joe Pete.
Whipping the skippy all day long.
We're making a movie about white guilt. We're going to examine all these facts. Shut up! The civil rights movement today basically protects criminals.
Okay, stop interrupting me.
We're making a movie about white guilt.
Okay, stop interrupting me.
Shut up! We're making a movie about white guilt.
Done in a beautiful fashion. The documentary, at the same time, both prose and poetry.
It's not the noble movement that it was.
I'm above you on all these issues. I've been to the military. I have served in the capacity to protect your rights to bloviate. To protect your rights to bloviate.
Who are you to tell me what my style is, you meth addict?
I've been to the military.
How do you know I'm a meth addict?
I'm above you on all these issues.
How do you know I'm a meth addict?
You haven't served in the military. In fact, you wouldn't be fit for the military.
I'm a racist, and I don't consider myself an especially evil person.
What's this got to do with the price of rice in China?
Well, I'm just telling you, I'm a better man than you are.
You're a narcissist. We've established that.
Okay, stop interrupting me. You could not defend the very rights you enjoy. You are the ultimate invalid.
I put stock in you.
I'm wondering why Mr. Solutions isn't on Debbie Daly's show.
What's this got to do with the price of rice in China?
Money. I'm into aviation. Money.
Power.
Money.
Power.
Man boobs.
Shut up!
I see why Sick the Tank daddies kicked his ass and kicked him out of the house early on.
Man boobs.
Shut up!
I'm going to talk over you as loud as I can. I've got my speaker full blast to blow you away.
Shut up!
Mr. Midnight Movie.
My name is Delano. I have killed Mr. Midnight Movie. I stabbed that son of a bitch.
Money.
Power.
Money.
Power.
I'm tired.
Money.
Power.
Money.
Oh, yeah! Coming to you live on Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio and other places across the internet.
Yes.
We're Inflammatory Talk.
Yes, I am the inflammatory but diplomatic Mr. Midnight Movie. We have a Jewish producer.
I'm here. That's me. I'm Jewish producer. Call me JP.
JP.
Stop calling in and calling my family names, please.
Yeah, stop doing that.
Stop it.
Jesus.
Stop it.
All the time. But, yes, so Jussie Smullett and white guilt. I think the power structure that brought him here and, just how much people have given people credence for a long time. And now it seems like the people that are in power don't want to relinquish it. And the censors are the ones in power. These are the people in the high tech and the, I guess you would call it the high tech industries are the major book burners of their day.
And that's a good point. Modern day book burning is a hashtag on Twitter. It's been trending now for a while. Modern day book burning. That's exactly what's going on. And we have, I think we've, to some extent, fallen victim to censorship.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
The ADL seems to be, and that's just what the fascists and the Nazis did. They all burned books, and now they're doing this. I mean, these people on the internet giants, in the name of stopping hate, are doing the same thing in the name of tolerance, and it's it couldn't be anything I don't think it's anything close to the tolerance. It's really quite the opposite of tolerance. You know, someone's. I put this on Facebook and I tried to copy and paste it. I couldn't do it. And this was on Instagram. And this is a gentleman by the name of Mike Norton. And he said, weakness of character leads to the distortion of truth. And the distortion of truth leads to the illusion of wisdom.
Now, yeah. Is there more to that?
No.
Excellent. I watched a video earlier I thought was pretty good because the connection by coining this a psyop is extremely important. I hadn't heard that connected with this story until today, and it was a video, PSYOP 101, the truth behind Jussie's dropped charges CNN won't mention. And it's a 6-minute clip, but why is it a PSYOP? Because and that's a psychological operation, and you know, it really depends on where you come from, you know, as in terms of the media and how you collect your news and information. But do you want to watch? Do you want to hear this video, or do you have something else in mind?
Does PSYOP stand for shut down your own penis?
Yes. I think it's a psychological term. Let's hear a couple minutes of this real quick, and then while we get our bearings together, you could call in. We have a call-in number. It's let's give that out. It's It's in the chat room, but 917-889-9178. Let's just play. Interrupt me anytime. It's not a big deal. I just I wanted to hear some of this.
I want to post our blog talk thing in the chat room there. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, shit. Okay.
That decision was made so that he could go on with his life and get this over with and not have to fight.
In other words, not have to answer for the mountain of evidence stacked against him.
And not have to continue with all of the disruption to his career.
Yeah, we wouldn't want Jussie's life to be disrupted like he's disrupted ours by almost sparking a race war.
He is a very sweet individual.
What you talking about, Willie?
Who has for a lifetime dedicated himself to his career, to the public, to children.
Before we get back to the topic, this video is sponsored by StemUp.com. Stem cells in your stem cells, you've lost 9. This chemistry is different. The link's in the description, and everything comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee.
This was a disruption to that. He wants to get back to it.
Jussie disrupted his own life by sowing seeds of racial division, and he just wants to get back to work. So y'all just leave him alone.
Always remember, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Better to be a poor man with a good reputation than a rich man with a name nobody respects. While fake stream media continues to try to cover its tracks and pivot to the next fabricated smokescreen wedge issue, diverting the minds of the masses onto frivolity, while the Federal Reserve banking cartel continues debasing the world's reserve currency, Jussie Smollett continues to take solace in the many lies he's going to have to tell for the rest of his life. News that Jussie Smollett was being let off without doing time for tying up the city of Chicago and half the world's media with his bizarre accusation of being beaten by homophobic Trump supporters in the middle of the night during a polar vortex while managing to fight off his attackers with a frozen foot-long sub in one hand and a cell phone in the other, and pulling it all off without being recorded by even one of Chicago's many Orwellian surveillance cameras, was met with predictable fury from Chicago's mayor and the police
Rahm
superintendent.
Emanuel.
And the irony is that Chicago's badged, uniform, organized crime ring known as the Chicago Police Department and the corrupt Chicago mayor, Rahm Never Let a Good Crisis Go to Waste Emanuel, are the pot calling this kettle black. Nevertheless, Smullett will now be the new O.J. Simpson, another man getting away with the crime he committed in full view of the public. That didn't work out very well for the Juice, who's now a pariah for life, and it won't work out for Smullett either. He'll be a despised person for the rest of his days and a symbol of unequal justice, or just flat out injustice. He might as well have gone to jail, served the time, and sought forgiveness after coming clean. But obviously, Jussie is not used to traveling the high road. Yeah, mainstream media was playing up the potential sentence of 48 years, but that would have been highly unlikely. It would have been maybe just a few years and then out, especially if he apologized. Now he's in the situation of having to perpetually defend himself and convince everybody that he's just an honest guy who got the short end of an unjust stick.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I was accused of.
It should be irrelevant. Perception is everything.
True
His
that.
release is a terrible thing for black people, even though Smullett is obviously too self-absorbed to realize it. You can blather on all you want about white privilege, but does anyone think Smollett's blackness had nothing to do with this result? Look at the Cook County State Attorney's statement. After reviewing all the facts and circumstances of the case, including Mr. Smollett's volunteer service in the community, and guys, that was 16 hours of community service over the course of 2 days at the Reverend Jussie Jackson's Human Rights Coalition, and agreement.
Did you know about that?
Agreement to forfeit his bond, which amounted to a measly $10,000 to the city of Chicago. We believe this outcome is a just disposition and appropriate resolution to this case. Translation: we know Jussie almost sparked a race war by playing the victim to fabricated Trump-loving racists, but we, the injustice system, are going to set a precedent by rewarding him and clearing his record for 10 grand worth of hush money and 16 hours of anthill-sized community service, even though he did a mountain of damage. So just like that, 16 felony charges by a grand jury dropped. Imagine just for a moment what would have happened to a Trump supporter who manufactured an attack by gay activists. Say bye-bye to freedom and hello to the inside of your new cage for years and years to come. Thanks, Jussie, for doing all that you could to damage race relations around the world. But that's exactly where we are in today's America on the heels of unmasking the Russia hoax of the fake stream media propaganda campaign. Or maybe this revelation was planned to come out after that reveal. It's probably just a coincidence. Remember, guys, reputation is everything. A good name is truly to be chosen rather than the temporal riches of a fleeting life. Enjoy looking over your shoulder and fabricating more lies to cover your other lies for the rest of your life, Jussie. If you guys enjoy these videos,
There we go.
be sure to
So
subscribe.
that was High Impact Flicks, but I thought it was a nice little summary of what happened and how he sees it. Do you are you down with any of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, and then this. Well, you said this was more celebrity privilege than it was black privilege, and I think it was.
Well, Melissa Hill said that.
Yeah, but you said you couldn't agree. Oh, you couldn't agree more. Oh, you said I couldn't agree more, Melissa.
Yeah, I agree. I tended to agree with it. Yeah, yeah. I feel it was a distraction story from far more important things, but the danger is very real for what could have happened. You know, I don't know. Comparing him to OJ probably wasn't the right way to go in that video, but
well, to a degree,
it matched.
Yeah, and I did, by the way, said I see what you're saying. There are examples of celebrities getting away. You know that Clark Gable hit a. I've said this before on my show that Clark Gable, hit a pedestrian while he was drunk driving and killed someone, and someone else served the sentence. And the same thing with John Huston. I don't know if he killed a pedestrian, but I know both of them killed somebody with their automobile.
Yes, it's true. We have a lot of comments coming in. They should call it Crook County. Yo, what's up? Egg White Boy says paleontologists at the world's largest recently reported the world's largest Tyrannosaurus Rex, the biggest dinosaur skeleton ever found in Canada. The enormous dinosaur. Okay, we'll have a whole discussion about that, Egg White Boy, one day. Absolutely, more misinformation, but
Howard Hughes also killed somebody while driving a car.
Dinosaurs have killed many people drunk driving.
He's just talking about because I guess Howard Hughes also killed somebody while drunk.
I think Dennis killed somebody drunk driving.
He may have.
Yeah.
Or he may have been killed and resurrected back to life.
Yeah, more than likely, he was the one that got run over. But
England doesn't know Dennis. They don't know. Then they never party. You don't know Dennis, because.
Yes. A big hug to Todd Morris. What's up?
But I want to say that Dennis is a person I think who has died many times and come back to life.
If he hasn't, he should have. Mr. Todd Morris has a show. It's called Prankville USA, and everybody should listen to that show. What a great show. Thank you, Debbie Daly. She left Yuck's show. Yuck's got a lot of people in his show. I don't know. Do you know Yuck Nasty? You got to get to know him, man. He's got a lot of people at his shows always. He's a real good guy.
Yeah. But what was I going to bloviate on about? But to me, as we go back to our topic, this is, and I could say, this is the civil rights industrial complex, in my opinion, giving basically credence to this scumbag. But I mean, the powers that be have given people that have done crappy things for a long time. I mean, look what Ted Kennedy did. And like I said, this guy, he didn't murder anybody, but I was kind of upset about it, and I've been upset. I've been upset with social justice warriors for a long time, and I mean, I've been upset with them and what I consider the civil rights industrial complex. I think since '89.
Yeah.
And it's only growing. I've been upset with them since the Tawana Brawley case, and they've disgusted me ever since. And I am angry at them, and I don't know what to. Honestly, I don't know what to do with my anger, because sometimes I get on YouTube and I go nuts on some of these SJWs. I am, and I know I'm going to be accused of a hate crime, but I feel like I'm telling it like I see it. If you don't like this country, you should get out. Show it to, my thing is, if you don't like it here, amongst white folks, go where there's less of us, and even the white folks that are SJWs, go live in a country where there's less of us. If you complain about racism, why don't you give us an example of a place that is diverse and has things the way you like? Show it to me in practice. Give me an example. I don't give a hoot what you say. Show it to me in practice.
Phone lines are open. You could call us 917-889-9178 on Blog Talk Radio's switchboard there. We're also on Skype.
And I don't know how long the show's going to be, just because...
Not very, but as long as we get our message across about Jussie, do you have any other thoughts on the whole story?
Well, I think this whole thing just kind of clarifies our whole deal about a movie about white guilt and why a film like this is necessary to kind of show what's going on in this country. Not only in this country.
Nope.
But throughout Europe, I mean, throughout any place where whites are, how they're treated throughout the world. I mean, I would say the European diaspora, wherever people of European descent live, how they're treated are I mean, it seems like if they're the minority, particularly like in African countries, like for example, South Africa, and in Zimbabwe, a lot of them were murdered and a lot of them fled. And then the same thing is happening in South Africa. And now, I see this kind of social justice, civil rights movement, victim mentality, particularly in England. I don't know how much it's being done in Germany, but I see this guy, David Lammy, whose parents were born outside of the country, and then the country lets him in, and he just plays the victim card, and it kind of disgusts me. And I've been arguing with people on YouTube about that. The guy's really pissed me off, and I think giving people like that credence while censoring others doesn't bode well. It's and it's, to me, the people in power who are supposed to make things like even and fair are really grossly one-sided, and they're making for strife, and it almost seems like they're drawing out the recipe for civil war, because they don't want to talk about real issues and stuff like that. They want to quiet things down and shut down the debate and what we can do to work better together. Instead, they give voices to one group and shut down another. And even things that are somewhat moderate seem to get shut down, particularly if it's pertaining to the BS that the civil rights movement has. And they call people like quasi, some of the things that I've been looking at, they've been calling people quasi-fascist. They've been using such a broad stroke of white supremacy. With the brush of white supremacy, it's getting kind of ridiculous. And I just in this Jussie Smollett thing, it's just another nerve. It's just another. It's another. It's kind of almost like a nail in the coffin of us getting together, because who wants to live under this kind of corruption? And a lot of people think, is this what's going to happen?
And an effective presentation on white guilt can help a lot of people understand what's at play here, and the media and some of the players should be exposed for what's happening, because why should something like this, an event like this, why should it trigger a race war? It will if it keeps happening.
Well, here's the deal.
Eventually, the right story will come along, and enough people will be affected by it, and you're going to have another problem on your hands.
any person of European descent, or primarily, or who's white, anybody seeing this is going to say, wait a minute, why do I want to live? Like, once, you got to put two and two together. Once places become more minority, is this what's going to happen? Because this is what it looks like. And that's why people want to call it celebrity privilege, but this seemed to also be largely black celebrity privilege. Is this what we're going to have to live under, this kind of hoax? And then when the BS is called out, no punishment, and the double standards. And the double standards right now is being helped by large tech, and they are predominantly white owned. A lot of these people, a lot of these people that are promoting these double standards have a lot of enablers. And high tech is promoting double standards, and now the justice system seems to be promoting double standards. Like I said,
oops, go on.
Do you really think that, as a matter of fact, when Obama was elected, just before he'd gotten elected, there were two Black Panthers who were in front of the polling place with two sticks, saying that hey, don't threatening voters. And Eric Holder said that hate crime laws are not for whites, in so many words. So, this is it seems like this is kind of what we're up against. And we're up against a lot of unfairness, a lot of hypocrisy, and a lot of double talk. And who wants that? Why would I want that? Why would I want this kind of injustice? You're told that, we want to be fair and we want to be just, but in reality, but that's not the reality. There's always, the goalpost always moves to what is considered racist for us, and then they can do whatever they want. They can behave in any way they want. It just seems like what I quoted Mike Norton, weakness of character. These people have weakness of character, leads to a distortion of truth, and the distortion of truth leads to the illusion of wisdom. Anyway,
something's going on with your voice here.
Really?
Let's see. Hopefully, just make sure you're on your mic. And you really got to use headphones. What's happening is you're getting noise cancellation because you're not using your headphones.
I got to find my headphones. I'll get some new ones. So someone is saying, check my... echo now. Check my levels. All right, it's better.
Yeah. Your levels are fine. It's just that you need to get... you can't have incoming and outgoing sounds coming out of the same unit.
So before I have certainly been upset since the, I've been upset at the system since I believe it was around 1989, actually it was I wonder if it was even 88. When the whole Tawana Brawley thing happened. And now in this thing, for whatever reason, it seems to be, instead of getting less power.
Now this person might have something to say about Jussie Smullett.
Fuck Jussie Smollett, that cocksucker. How did that fucker get off the hook? You do what he did, even one time, and you'll find yourself being butt-fucked by Bubba in the Cook County Jail. This fucker gets off. Fuck him. What do you suppose? Maybe it's because he's black? Maybe because he's gay? Maybe he's a gay black man? Maybe he likes to take it up the poop chute? Does that get you off these days? Because I got news for you. There's probably a lot of people with charges against them that all they got to do is say, I like to take it up the poop chute. Then they get off.
I think it was more black privilege than it was gay privilege, to be quite honest with you.
No, I think it was Michelle Obama privilege.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, Michelle Obama and that cocksucker Barack Obama, who's been very quiet, and he should be because he should be in fucking prison for violating United States law while he was president. With this whole Trump thing. This whole Trump thing started with him.
How so?
Gaming the FISA court, that's how. Getting FISA warrants to spy on Americans. FISA is supposed to be used for foreigners. That's what the F stands for in FISA. Foreigner. Foreign. And yet they were using the FISA courts to spy on the Trump campaign. What the fuck? Nobody wants to talk about that, do they?
Mr. Midnight Movie?
I heard something to that effect, a while ago, and they haven't brought, even the conservatives have not brought that up.
Because the conservatives lack one very important part of the physical anatomy in order to handle these things. It's called balls.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, and that's the truth with
you say the word "I mean" one more time. I want you to take your finger and stick it in your ass with a sharp hangnail.
Yes. Yes.
Don't say "I mean" again.
You're controlling my speech now?
Yes. It's for your own good. Stop abusing your audience. I mean, you know.
Manure.
That's one of my worst enemies, and I got a couple others, but I hate saying that. But I'm getting better at catching myself.
Yes.
Why am I so special?
Because you're an asswipe.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Chicago, sir?
Yes.
And have you been to the South Side?
No. I was in the center of the city.
Now, when you were there, was Subway a thing, or was it had it been invented yet when you were there?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I went to the belly of the beast. I was inside TransUnion.
Now, I have never been to Chicago. JP, have you been to Chicago?
I sure have. A couple times.
Listen to him all excited.
Yeah, I love Chicago. Chicago's awesome.
Chicago's a very good food town.
Yes, as is Boston. Boston's more of a go out and hang out kind of town. But for food, yeah, Chicago, way better than Boston, actually.
Way better than most cities.
More better than most cities, yeah, I agree.
Chicago, if you want to go eat out and eat in a Greek restaurant, you won't get 2 or 3. You'll get a whole block full of them.
Yeah.
Want Lithuanian food? Same thing. Won't be 1 or 2 restaurants. It'll be blocks full of Lithuanian restaurants.
Don't go when it's cold.
Lithuanian neighborhood. Are you doing one of your abortion of a shows?
Maybe I am.
No, you probably are. What's the news on Spreaker these days?
Well, we heard that they were going to be taken over by Blog Talk, but, you know.
I've been hearing that for years.
Yes.
I doubt very much Blog Talk's going to take over anything.
Yes. Thank you, Debbie, for hanging out and listening.
Yeah,
Is Debbie hanging out? Or did she leave when she heard me?
She may have bailed, but yeah.
Poor Debbie. She's so conflicted when it comes to me.
Now, Jussie Smullett said, "I am simply here to save the world. Nothing is more."
Yeah, Jussie has doubled down and claimed that his story has always been the truth. He was attacked and a noose was put around his neck by MAGA-wearing white people. Even though we have the check to the two Nigerian guys, the ones that are about the size of a VW bus.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how can somebody like that get charges dropped?
Yeah. Well, no, he is doing community service for Rainbow Push.
No, he did his community service. Don't you know he's been getting credit?
Oh, yeah.
For all of the community service that he's done over the years.
And you know, it's a church filled with majority white folks in this community. A lot of people are forced, by the way, to be part of Rainbow Push. If your son had lived in Chicago, he probably would have been forced to attend some of these meetings and stuff like that, and have sensitivity training.
But he's a gay black man. I'm sure he enjoyed it.
Here we go. I got this. Oh shoot! This is not. Never mind. I'm going to find a better clip. Hold on. Here we go.
I come to you not only as the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department.
This is the Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson speaking on Jussie.
He's not happy.
Jussie's
He's a very unhappy black man.
Staged crime attack. Here we go. Not a happy
But also
guy.
as a black man who spent his entire life living in the city of Chicago. I know the racial divide that exists here. I know how hard it's been for our city and our nation to come together. And I also know the disparities, and I know the history. This announcement today recognizes that Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations? How could someone look at the hatred and suffering associated with that symbol and see an opportunity to manipulate that symbol to further his own public profile? How can an individual who's been embraced by the city of Chicago turn around and slap everyone in this city in the face by making these false claims? Bogus police reports cause real harm. They do harm to every legitimate victim who's in need of support by police and investigators, as well as the citizens of this city. Chicago hosts one of the largest pride parades in the world, and we're proud of that as a police department and also as a city. We do not, nor will we ever tolerate hate in our city, whether that hate is based on an individual's sexual orientation, race, or anything else. So I'm offended by what's happened, and I'm also angry. I love the city of Chicago and the Chicago Police Department, warts and all. But this publicity stunt was a scar that Chicago didn't earn and certainly didn't deserve. To make things worse, the accusations within this phony attack received national attention for weeks. Celebrities, news commentators, and even presidential candidates weighed in on something that was choreographed by an actor. First, Smullett attempted to gain attention by sending a false letter that relied on racial, homophobic, and political language. When that didn't work, Smullett paid $3,500 to stage this attack and drag Chicago's reputation through the mud in the process. And why? This stunt was orchestrated by Smullett because he was dissatisfied with his salary. So he concocted a story about being attacked. Now, our city has problems. We know that. We have problems that have affected people from all walks of life, and we know that.
Yeah.
But to put the national spotlight on Chicago for something that is both egregious and untrue is simply shameful. I'm also concerned about what this means moving forward for hate crimes. Now, of course, the Chicago Police Department will continue to investigate all reports of these types of incidents with the same amount of vigor that we did with this one. But my concern is that hate crimes will now publicly be met with a level of skepticism that previously didn't happen. That said, Smullett was treated as a victim throughout this investigation until we received evidence that led detectives in another direction. I couldn't be more proud of the unrelenting detective work that went into this investigation, and I couldn't be more proud of every investigator that played a part in it. The detective work that we saw in this case is indicative of the work that our detectives do every day in this city. This case in particular involved hours of video evidence, which when combined with old-fashioned police work, uncovered the truth. These detectives deserve all the credit in the world for carefully analyzing the leads and the evidence for weeks before coming to their conclusion. I'd also like to thank the FBI for their help in this investigation.
All right, here we go.
The
Almost
FBI's
done
partnership with CPD has been pivotal in this particular case. I only hope that the truth about what happened receives the same amount of attention that the hoax did.
Well put, man.
Yeah.
Any of
So
you guys?
what TV show do you suppose Mr. Smollett will end up on with a big raise?
2 Men and a Baby.
2 fags in a hole?
Yes.
So if we're talking about what we would name,
I'm sorry. Can you try English?
no, I can't. How many people have left the room because of? Yes, let's see here.
16 people left. Thanks, Jew.
You're a
What room are
very,
you talking about?
you're a very hated man.
Good.
I think.
Yeah, 16 people left since you joined. Thank you.
Yes.
16 people left where?
Various places from all
Yeah.
corners of our listenership.
Has anyone chosen to call into our blog talk radio show?
Unfortunately, we've had no phone calls yet. Phone number is 917-889-9178. Call in. I think we need to have these thoughts challenged, or whatever the case is. You don't even need to get into it and be opposites, but we would like to hear from you. Call in if you have a opinion on this Smullett matter. Why not, right? Call in.
Are you making this call to your regular retarded listenership?
Why not?
They're retards.
Well, why not? Why not?
Do you like watching the retarded policeman?
I used to enjoy it. I laughed. I got a few guffaws.
Did you find it offensive?
No. I got a few guffaws.
Are you laughing at the retard? Did you offensive?
You made me laugh.
Yes. Welcome to the show. Bathtub Girl is here.
Bathtub Girl.
Angela Truth.
At the retard?
She lies.
I have a request.
All right.
Will you honor my request?
Welcome to the show. Make your damn request.
I don't know what the request is.
Just say yes.
No, we don't make agreements that way. Just tell us what you want.
Request. I hear an echo. Honor my request.
Why do you suppose you hear an echo?
Just say yes.
No, we don't make agreements that way. Just tell us what you want.
I'm going to hang up because I hear an echo. My request. God, I can't hang up on this. Hang up on me.
Why do you suppose you hear an echo?
Who brought her in? Was that you, Brian?
Say
yes. No, we don't make agreements that way. Just tell us what you want.
Well, somebody
I'll
just
try
tell her now.
it won't hang up. God, I can't.
Tell us what you want. We're dying to know what the request is. So
yes.
Tell us the goddamn request before I smack you in the mouth.
I had to remove her from the call. She's on here twice. That's why. Are you still here, Angela?
No, she ran away.
Wait, what was this other call then? 917? What the heck?
How is it that you're able to fuck things up to such a...
I don't know, man. He touches one thing and it's ruined.
Jack, hold on, James.
I got it. Just relax.
It's the number to Blog Talk.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
That was the worst clusterfuck I've heard in a while.
Well, it probably doesn't...
we'll try to make it even worse for you.
People. So, yes. Jussie Smullett.
Yes, let's hear the recovery.
Is there a recovery?
Probably not. Maybe Debbie will show you how to do a show.
Oh boy, I'm not showing you on the call right now, Mr. Midnight Movie.
Are you really?
Yeah. You're not on the Blog Talk call.
Because you hung up on it.
No, I didn't. Hello? Are you here now? 612. Hello?
Let me call on again. Hold on.
Then who's 612?
I don't know.
Are you there? Hello, hello, hello.
What damn? What's the number for the Blog Talk thing?
So the guest call-ins is 917 889 9178. Wake up, before it's too late.
Yeah, I'm calling in.
Oh, it's already too.
Talk Radio.
Welcome
to Blog Talk Radio.
A little better, though.
Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Click one.
We probably had a boatload of dead air if I'm not mistaken. We're able to get on now. Yes, folks. This was... Well, I thought I was going to say so many insightful things, and I just...
Yes, but I had no faith in you, so I wasn't disappointed.
Well, I'm glad that your encouragement seeks me to kill myself.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Well, before you go and kill yourself, make sure you go take somebody with you.
Yeah.
I work at the hospital. What the fuck you do at the hospital? I work for an endocrinologist. What the fuck an endocrinologist do? Diabetes doctor. Diabetes doctor.
Diabetes doctor.
Kidney doctor.
Also want to be able to
this
comment a
video?
little bit about this whole white guilt thing.
Oh, can you say that again?
Yeah, I was hoping to comment on the title of your show when you talked about the issue of white guilt.
Nice. Are you 612? Is that who this is?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Midnight Movie, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, we have a caller. I'm sorry, man. I couldn't figure out who the heck this was, but we have a caller who has a question for you. Go ahead and if you have a comment, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Thanks for taking my call. I was going to say I think the remedy to this whole issue of white guilt, or this guilt that they're trying to put on to white people in general, can be solved by just teaching European history and what actually happened to white Americans in this country. Because I think the narrative they're trying to put out there is this idea that, like, whites always had it good and they're just oppressing everybody else, and it was only minorities that were struggling. But the opposite was the case. Most Europeans were enslaved for thousands of years to either the Vikings or the Romans, especially if you come from England, Ireland, France, or Germany. Your forefathers were all slaves for more than 1,500 years. And then when it came to the slave trade itself, that 400,000 British children were actually stolen and smuggled and sold into slavery here in America. And then they don't talk about the fact that in the state of Virginia alone, there were more than 1,000 black slave owners. And what they also don't tell is they sell this narrative about the so-called indentured servants who were supposedly let out after 7 years. This refers to Europeans that came over here, but they don't tell you the majority of them were killed before the 7 years came up. That their owners just usually put a bullet in their head and just murdered them. But they don't talk about that, and so because they don't talk about that, they allow this narrative that only blacks and Native American people suffered and white people didn't suffer at all. Therefore, white people should feel ashamed, when in reality, everyone suffered and everybody was eating a shit sandwich together. And that no one's supposedly worse off than another. That's how you get rid of it. Just teach people what really happened.
Well, but do people really? I mean, because some people have put their identity through being a victim, and you know, I think a lot of people have. And I apologize for that, but you know, a lot of these people have a weakness of character, and they have a distortion of truth, and they think it's wisdom. And I don't think people are necessarily going to. I don't think people are going to. I don't think people are really going to wake up to that. And we have a lot of these people who are distorting the truth have a lot of enablers. And who are pushing this. There's a whole industry that is pointing for this white guilt. I mean, there's a whole privilege industry. There's a whole industry built on so-called white privilege. I mean, Tim Wise, Jane Elliott, all of these people sell books. They sell books to the school. They sell their merchandise to schools, and so it's a large money-making thing. And it's also a large ego thing. So we do have an uphill battle fighting this kind of thing.
Right. No, I agree with that. But at the end of the day, you know, when it comes to lies and this, deception, you just challenge it with facts. Because a lot of these people that hold these views, and I used to hold these views myself. I used to be one of those young black people that hated white people and thought they were the evil scum of the earth that ruined everything. But when you learn facts, you learn history, it changes the way you see things. And what I often find is that when you challenge these people that think that way, most of the time they don't have any sound arguments for their case. And when you genuinely challenge them with facts that can be verified, they usually fall apart. You know, because I often say when you argue with a liberal, it's like playing chess with a pigeon, right? I mean, no matter how many moves you make, no matter how many times you put them in checkmate, they'll just knock over all the pieces, crap on the board, and think they won. Because they don't have logic and reason on their side. So logic and reason can always triumph over these people if you just know what you're talking about and know how to present it.
Yeah, but how? I mean, like, how are you going to get through someone who's like? I mean, like, how are you reached
Oh, I'm sorry. You need somebody to come over to your apartment right now and hit you in the head with a big club. What did you just say in that last sentence? I know, but you said nothing.
Thank you. How did somebody? How were you reached? How? Because a lot of these people have thick skulls and stuff like that. How were you? How were you able to be reached and think differently?
Well, I mean, at the time I was in college, I was basically a radical atheist and a radical left-wing progressive. And when I became a Christian, one of the things that it caused me to do, and if you know, those of you know what the Bible says, it forces you to take personal responsibility for your life and your actions. And it doesn't give you space to blame other people for what you did wrong. And so once I started to do that, it called, because I was one of those people that just blamed white people for everything. Then I realized everything's my own fault. And then when I took the time to study history and learn European history, learn what whites went through when they came to this country, it caused me to realize that that's just not the case, that whites didn't always have it good, that they were struggling and suffering like everybody else on the planet was. Then you find out that all of humanity was engaging in what's called the conquest ethic, where everybody was conquering each other, enslaving each other, taking people's lands, anytime there was a group of people near to them that was weaker. And the Europeans just happened to have an advantage because they developed their military weapons faster, and it gave them a competitive advantage. That's why they just happened to be better at the same game that everybody else was playing. And so that's just reality what history is. But the majority of white people suffered and lived in dire poverty, that it was an intense struggle just to survive and live. The child, mortality rate was super high. Most people's kids never made it past 5. And to think that you're going to turn around and tell people like this who live in an extremely difficult life, having most of their kids dead, and then turn around and tell them that they're the beneficiaries of privilege, that's an insult. And if I was white and somebody told that to me, I'd punch them in the face. Because they're insulting my history and what my people went through and the struggle we had just to try to come up and build this country out of nothing.
I'll tell you something. It kind of makes me, it sickens me to a point. I mean, America defeated the people of the Bushido Code, who would, these are people who would stick blades deep into their abdomen to commit suicide, and now we're giving into these individuals like the Jussie Smullets and the Black Lives Matter. I mean, did you remember when Bernie Sanders was speaking in Seattle, and these 2 fat Black Lives Matter chicks bum rushed the stage? And this guy's going to be our leader? Are you kidding me? That's an insult.
Yeah, he's a cowardly communist scumbag. He just showed what his character is about.
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm against all these Marxists. That's what all this stuff is coming down to. All this agenda we see being pushed is by the Marxists. They're the ones that realize they know what they're targeting when they're coming in against America, because they ultimately, this is like the new version of the Cold War. They lost the head-to-head matchup because the Soviet Union and all of communism could not compete with American capitalism. They realized that, so then they changed the rules of the game. They decided, let's destroy America from within, and we're going to take advantage of America's freedoms and use it against them. So they got into the education system, they got into the media, they got into the government. That's where all this nonsense is coming from. That's why they're attacking white males, because they realize that white males are the only people in this country that the majority of them are conservative and actually adhere to the Constitution and will defend it. So you're public enemy number 1. Because once they can get you out of the way, there's nothing to stop them from changing this country into a socialist country.
Well, one of the things that I've been saying to some of these black radicals is like, can you show me a country in practice? Can you show me a country that has I see what's going on in South Africa right now. I mean, like, if
oh my God. I mean, like, just put a thought in your head and say it.
Thank you.
Yeah, please form a thought before you start speaking. Caller, you've brought up some really good points. Do you happen to, I'd like to know some more of your politics, where you're coming from. Did you grow up in the Midwest or West or East Coast?
Yes, sir. I grew up in Minnesota.
Oh, right on. Right on.
Right on. What are you, a hippie?
Yeah, I love Minnesota. Shut up.
All right.
What is this right on stuff? Who says that in 2019?
Right on, man.
You're gonna get X'd out.
Field of Dreams.
Do you have any questions
Right
for the
on.
caller, Miss Jew?
Well, no. My statement was about South Africa.
Oh, okay.
South Africa should be like, to a lot of radical blacks, South Africa should be like their Israel. You know, because it's
but it's going to shit because of the new government that took over. They're trying to apply Marxist principles to what used to be a successful capitalist country. Like, if you want to look at African countries that are successful, you take a look at Rwanda, who's actually applying free market capitalist principles, and they actually went to China and South Korea and studied to see what they did to improve their economies, and it's leading to a successful, one of the fastest growing GDPs. I believe it's around 8% growth, which is rivals China. But what happens in other African countries, unfortunately, is they embrace Marxism, and the minute they do that, it just destroys whatever potential they could have had. But the ones that are embracing capitalism, they're having rapid development and growth. So that's what it really comes down to. I mean, look at North Korea and South Korea. North Korea went with communism, South Korea went with capitalism. You can see the difference.
Yeah, no, you're right on that.
Explain to me what's going on in Vietnam. Tell me what's going on in Vietnam then. They're communists. And they're just kicking the shit out of everybody.
Well, China is China doing the same thing?
Wait, are you trying to make a case for communism like it's a good thing? Is that what you're trying to do by bringing up Vietnam? You think communism works?
No, I'm just saying that Vietnam is doing very well.
So what's the point? Are you trying to say that communism is a good thing?
No.
So then why would you bring up
something
Vietnam?
else is going on? Because Vietnam is doing very well.
Yeah, but you also brought the point that they're communists. So clearly, you had a main point to make behind that, right? What were you trying to imply? That capitalism is better than communism?
They are a communist nation, and yet somehow their economy is doing quite well.
Just say what you really want to say. Say it. You don't think capitalism is better than communism?
Obviously, you don't know who you're talking to, but that's okay.
Well, I'm just asking you. I'm based on. I mean, the reason you brought that up for a reason, right? So, what's the point that you brought that up?
No, I made a statement of fact. Vietnam is a communist nation, and yet Vietnam somehow is quite successful.
Is Vietnam
right? China's a communist country as well, but their economy didn't start to grow until they embraced free market capitalist principles in order to have a growing economy.
And has Vietnam done the same thing?
Pretty much, basically. I mean, they've basically allowed foreign businesses to move in and to do manufacturing in Vietnam. That's where a lot of our manufacturing jobs went.
Yeah, I see made in Vietnam now on some of my products. But let's get back to the topic at hand, folks. Now, what do you think? Do you still hang around the blacks that were like? Because I imagine that you had black radical friends. Do you still hang out with some of those guys?
I mean, I talk to them, but I don't hang out with them. I mean, most people I hang around now are all conservatives, constitutional conservatives.
What percent of the ones that you used to hang out with changed to be constitutional conservatives?
None.
I didn't ask you.
Oh, say it again. I didn't catch your whole question. It was breaking up.
What percent of the blacks that you hung out with who were like hated the white man and thought the white man brought scum? What percent of them changed to your side of thinking?
I'd say about 60%, roughly.
Really? Wow.
I think a lot of them. One of the things that helped a lot of them change was once we got out of college. Because if you know, in a lot of these universities, it's like a breeding ground for that way of thinking. And so once they got out of school and got in the real world and started to have families and children and responsibility, a lot of them started to drift away from that radical thought. And most of them actually, I know for a fact, voted for Trump in 2016. And because a lot of them were really disappointed with Obama, and they felt like he was just a total con. And they were so disenchanted with the Democrat Party. And then when I told them about how the Democrats started the KKK, they supported slavery 100%, while the Republicans were against it. That the Democrats were the ones that started the Jim Crow laws, the black codes. I mean, everything that people bring up to try to blame white people for was actually the fault of the Democrat Party, 100%. And once they found this out, a lot of them were stunned, and then they decided, that's it, I can't support this party anymore, and a lot of them became Republican.
Well, Shelby Steele says that, black militancy is dependency with an angry face.
Well, I mean, you have to know amongst black people, two kinds of black people. You have black people, and then you got the niggas. And the niggas are basically the equivalent of, for you guys, what you guys have is like what you guys call white trash or whatever. It's like the ignorant crowd that you can't tell them anything, and they're happy to be dumb. Those are the type of people that they support Black Lives Matter. They're 100% lock, stock, and barrel behind the Democrat Party. And no matter how much evidence and facts and legitimate, logical case you present, it doesn't work because their head is thicker than a wall. Nothing can penetrate it. So they're basically a lost cause.
Yeah, I mean, and also if you're dependent on if you're really dependent on the government, you're also a lost cause. And if you can't perform or produce, then you're going to be dependent on the government, and you're going to be a lost. I mean, to a degree, I think a lot of people in the inner city may be lost causes. I mean, if you have a lot of kids outside of wedlock, and you're dependent on that government check or that government job, you're not gonna bite the hand that feeds you.
Are you driving?
100%, I agree with that. That's true.
I think. Are you driving, caller? Are you driving? I just hear a lot of wind.
Yes, sir.
That's cool. No problem. It's not affecting the call much. I just hear it. I was just curious.
Yeah. But
you want me to mute my mic?
No, you're cool, man. You're good.
It's
working out good.
Yeah. But, I mean, and it's like part of me. I am afraid if this country becomes more minority, the kind of hate that's out there and the kind of law and disorder that's going to happen does frighten me. Because I don't see a large extent of black people and even like Latino people really changing their thought process. The victim mentality kind of process. I see them as collectively having a lot of vendetta and hate against the center.
I think now the wind's starting to mute him out a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you repeat that, Mr. Midnight Movie? It sounded like you got cut off there.
Oh, I see as this country becomes more minority and the voting patterns of the minorities, I don't see good things for this country, and I see, a lot of persecution, like that whites, will be a persecuted group, and they'll be blamed for a lot of things as this country starts to become more minority. I see that happening, and I don't see good things happening as this country becomes black and brown.
Well, there is a changing dynamic that's going on, and it's primarily happening on the internet. There's two main movements to watch out for, and this is where there's some hope. There's one called the Walkaway Movement, which is Democrats who are leaving the Democrat Party now and are either becoming conservative or joining the Republican Party. And there's a lot of minorities, especially a lot of blacks, that are doing this specifically, and it's led by a young lady named Candace Owens, who I think she's a real inspiration for a lot of young blacks right now because of her story of how she came out of the Democrat Party. But there's another thing too, and Forbes actually wrote about this back in 2014. They talked about Generation Z, right? We always hear about the millennials.
Yeah.
But the generation after them, they found, is actually becoming much more conservative. And you know how that old saying about how people, like younger people, they like to rebel against what's supposedly the cultural norms? Well, liberalism has become mainstream now. And Gen Z, this young upcoming generation, they've been making fun of it, and they're kind of rebelling against it by becoming more conservative. That's why guys like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson are getting really popular online. And that's why the liberals, if you've been paying attention, they've really been trying to attack Twitter and YouTube. Because those two platforms is where this big underground conservative movement is booming. Where I give a lot of young men in particular who are embracing conservatism of every racial background, because the left is clearly turned anti-male. We can all see that. They're all in on that feminist bullshit. So there is some hope out there. But if the left have its way, they're trying to censor Twitter and YouTube and take control of that. But as long as it's free and open, then this movement can continue to grow, and we can kind of make a little bit of a comeback.
Well, as long as they treat it as, like it's treated as the public square, and we're allowed to have access to that. I mean, but nowadays it seems like they use words like white supremacy, and they painted that with such a broad brush that conservatives are being kicked out of the public square of every stripe, and I think that to a degree we gotta take. I mean, it's I'm libertarian, but we got to take it as kind of a public utility, and we got to I think there has to be laws made that if you make something for the public and you are and you're considered a public platform, then you have to be one, or you're a broadcaster. And then you're subject to the rules of the FCC. Just a thought.
Yes. Yeah. We knew eventually you were going to get into the future and how, caller, how you view the future of race politics. We've had some questions in our chat rooms. Just curious to see, where this all leads in your point of view.
Yeah, I think I know currently, a lot of people feel kind of hopeless about the situation due to the fact, like you brought up, about how the demographics are shifting things. But I think because people aren't as aware of what's going on online in the current movement to the right that a lot of people are currently experiencing now, and the power, and even more than that, it's like the left is doing it to themselves. Because if you notice, the left keeps coming up with more ridiculous ideas, and they keep saying things that people at the end of the day look at and just say, there's no way I can support that. Like, I know for a fact, for example, when they passed that whole late-term abortion thing, a bunch of women that I had in my life who were lifelong Democrats said, that's it, I'm done. I can't support this party anymore. And so as they embrace these more radical positions that they're having, people are just leaving it because there comes a line that they cross where people say, listen, this has gone too far. This goes against what I stand for, what I believe in. And the reality is most minorities, specifically blacks and Latinos, culturally, they're conservative. They may embrace economically liberal ideas, but on the social fronts, they're almost all conservative. Like blacks are almost totally against homosexuality. They're against transgenderism. I mean, if you remember back in California when they had that vote on gay marriage, it was basically the black vote that shut it down.
Yeah.
So what we found is, and this is why I give Candace Owens a lot of credit. And for those who don't know, she should look her up. She's done a great work in really trying to get young black people to realize that our cultural traditional values are all conservative, and we have more in common with the Republican Party than the Democrats. And the Democrats are a bunch of lying scumbags that hid all this evil shit that they did in the 1800s. Because all this stuff that they blame white people for is just them just shifting the buck from themselves. Because if you look at history, the Democrats voted nearly 96% to keep slavery in place, while the Republicans voted 100% against it. And even after slavery, the Republican Party passed the Civil Rights Act and the Enforcement Act in 1872 and 1875, which gave blacks the right to have civil rights and to arm and defend themselves. But in the 1890s, when Grover Cleveland became president and the Democrats took the Senate and the House, they repealed both those laws, and that's when they formed the Jim Crow laws and the black codes we have in the South, and that's when they started the KKK, which they used as their terrorist arm, not only to attack blacks, but to also attack Republicans and anyone that went against them politically. But this whole part of history has been swept under the rug, and that we've allowed the Democrats to get away with blaming, quote-unquote, the South, or blaming white people as if it was their fault. But we know that politically, whites were divided. One side was engaging in this evil, and one side wasn't. And so we can't let them get away with this. And when people find this out, people, by the droves, leave them. because how could you support a party that did that?
Yeah. Now, when you were in your liberal days, if someone said, "Do you think it's wrong to have a child outside of wedlock?" what would you have said?
Well, when I was an atheist, I wouldn't have cared. It didn't make a difference in either way. But when I became a Christian, that's when I said, obviously I would agree you can't have children out of wedlock.
Because there is, and this is across the board of every race. There are a lot more children being born out of wedlock, and it is a lot of minorities are being born out of wedlock, and it is a weakness of character.
There is only one solution, Mr. Midnight Movie.
What is that?
Oh boy, what?
What are you doing?
What's the sound? Yeah.
The whooshing sound in the background is driving me crazy.
Oh, relax. Get over it. So, where do you stand? We talked about the media earlier, caller. How do you feel? How significant a role do you feel the media has in all of this?
Right. I would say the media is not legitimate due to the fact that 85% of journalists in this country are registered Democrats. So I view the media, for the most part, as basically the propaganda arm for the Democrat Party. And that's why, there's so much misinformation, and everything is presented to present liberal ideas in a positive light, and anything that's conservative, negative. We see it done with the president right now. Look what they're doing to this guy. And they're able to get away with it because basically they're all on one team and they're all advocating on the behalf of Democrats.
Yeah. And with that being said, anything else to add? I think, JP, we should end the show because I'm getting kind of tired and I have to get up in the morning and work.
Yes. We will we'll do that right now. I just wanted this one message by Kurt to get through.
Oh,
you have to. What time do you have to get to the abortion clinic, Mr. Midnight Movie?
Well, you've already been, so I can't abort you.
Let's do one thing at a time. Caller, thank you so much. We're going to end our show. We appreciate you calling in again, man. What's your name?
Yeah, my name's David, and thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in, man.
Giving some of your insight. Do you have a show yourself or a Twitter handle or anything like that? Or
he's gone. So we will go ahead and end this. Thank you. That was a really nice talk. And of course,
is the whooshing sound gone too?
It sure is. Oh, it's very peaceful now, right? Serene.
I'm glad that you held your narcissism in check.
I would like to know before you leave Midnight Movie. I do.
Holding narcissism in check.
Yes. You're most welcome. I have a question for you, then, Mr. Midnight Movie. What is it that goes through your head that makes you that gives you the inability, for some reason, to finish one sentence?
Your biohook nose. Does that answer your question? JP, can we end the show now? Mr. Narcissist.
You're in trouble now. Oh, you're in trouble now.
Kill the white man.
Do you like this drop I have from Kurt?
Oh, you're in trouble now.
Is that great?
That's great. Can we end the show now, JP?
Oh, you're in trouble now.
Did Kurt die?
Did he die?
Oh, you're in trouble now.
No. Oh, I love that. I could play that over and over again.
Why do you say that, though, in that way when you sound so happy about it?
Shut up.
Well, folks, this is
Thanks for listening to Inflammatory Talk.
Blog Talk.
Please
and the best
call
on the
in
internet.
again, David. Call in when angry Jew. Thank you all for listening.
Like
appreciate the questions in the chat room.
Shut up. And Mr. Midnight Movie. Shut up. And Jewish producer.
Hello, son.